comedies centered on mistaken identities, physical handicaps of people, and mischievous servants, and used witty and often risque dialogue to elicit laughter from the audience. Last, the drama social, tragico, or lirico refer to the melodramas revolving around domestic and social problems. Because the drama simbolico was cruelly suppressed by the Americans, it was the drama comico and drama social that flourished after 1905. Comic dramas are very much evident in full feature films about popular comedians, such as the silent film Los Tres Santos, with Manuel Silos and Patrick Carvajal, and post-war studio comedians like Campal Tuco, Tuco and Pugo, Sebia Mahal Kita, Silvia La Torre, Elisa Jose, Bentot and Pugo, and sitcom movies like John and Marcia, Dolphin, Linda Blanca, Delia Taytayan, and Mang Kepweng, Chiquito. In these movies, as in the dramas comicos, the emphasis is on witty repartees, slapstick, and mistaken identities. Film melodramas are concerned with personal or family problems. One, the abuse of children, as in Alipin ng Palad, Roberta, and Tahan Empoy of Lino Broca. Number two, the sufferings of a mother because of wayward children, as in Kalbaryo ng Isang Ina, Sinong May Sala, and Inang Mahal, where Rosa Mia wept in all of the film's 45 sequences. Number three, marital infidelity, as in Sapagkat Kami Tao Lamang. And number four, and angustia. Number four, the conflict between rich and poor, as in Kumahawi Manang Ulap, Banakol Daigdig, and Bilangin ng mga bituin, ang bituin sa langit. The melodrama is adjudged successful if it attracts huge female audiences and gives them a good cry, as catharsis for all the oppression that they probably unknowingly suffered in a patriarchal society. The vaudeville. Introduced by the Americans in the early 1900s, vaudeville was indigenized to vaudeville and later vaudeville. When Borromeo Lu, or Luis Borromeo, established the first vaudeville show at the Olympia Stadium in 1921. With no narrative, the vaudeville was a variety show composed of dance numbers by couples or chorus girls, song numbers, jazz, blues, ballads, novelty, by singers like Diana Toy and Katie de la Cruz, comedy skits by duos or trios running on wit and slapstick, magical acts, and circus numbers with fire or sword eaters. Because America set the standards for vaudeville, local performers always tried to sing American pop songs the way they were sung by the original American singers. For example, Eddie Mesa imitating Elvis Presley. During the Japanese period, the vaudeville became the stage show with the addition of a drama, usually at the end as a highlight of the show. Many films of Sampaguita and LBN used vaudeville-type musical numbers with famous singers, scores of dancers performing on grandiose sets. Among them were vaudeville, that's the one in the picture, which starred the vaudeville queen herself, Queen of Jazz, Katie de la Cruz, and the dancing singing couple Tita Duran and Pancho Magalona. Other films with vaudeville-type numbers featured comedians Patsy, Ay Cruzada, Herman Moreno, dancers Linda Blanca and Nestor Revilla, Manding Claro and Anita Vidal, and singers like Jumedes Maturan, Eddie Mesa, and Nora Honor. By the way, tingnan nyo na doon sa front, sa right side, yung pinakahuling figure is Dolphy. Sila yung dancers. Yeah. From vaudeville to cinema came compliant performers like Tugo and Pugo, Dolphy and Panchito, Chichay, Patsy, and Lupito. From vaudeville 2 came the practice called Indian Cowboy, where actors in a skit or drama improvise their lines, dispensing with the script and favoring quote-unquote spontaneity. This practice spread among film productions of the 1960s and 1970s when producers poured most of the film budget into superstars, leaving next to nothing for other production values, including a proper script. Summary. Perhaps some general observations may be derived from the above discussion. In regard to content, the cinema, especially from 1919 to 1960s, inherited the following conventions of the traditional play. 1. Plots consisting of major earth-shaking events, arranged chronologically and designed through a series of coincidences, revelations, chance encounters, and other deus ex machina, to come to a correct ending, which reaffirms the political, social, and religious values of the establishment. And 2. Idealized characters or types were clearly marked as heroes or villains, and who speak a language associated with their stereotypes. In regard to the style of production, the cinema of this period also inherited or were much influenced by, number 1, mass acting, which uses a vocabulary of exaggerated external gestures that identify good or bad characters by symbolizing rather than expressing their emotions. 2, direction that merely strings together rather than interprets the characters and situations of a story. 3, lighting that merely illuminates a scene but does not care to establish time of day, create mood, or focus. Number 4, cinematography, where the tendency is to set the camera on a tripod in a frontal position, merely recording the actors' movements as they come in and out of the camera's view, much like the theater audience watching characters entering and exiting the proscenium stage. Of course, the other reason for that is mabigat yung mga camera. No? And 5, editing that evokes the leisurely pace of commedia or sarsuela performances in the rural areas. In general, theater's influence on film in this period may be seen in a positive light for these reasons. First, film, a foreign invention, needed to be indigenized if it was to attract paying native audiences. In this regard, the appropriation of dramatic forms, which had been part of Philippine history, like the commedia and the cenacolo, or had embodied the material and non-material culture of the country, like the zarzuela and the drama, was a crucial and necessary step if film was to become part of the cultural mainstream, especially after films began to talk in Tagalog. Second, and related to the first, theater's influence on film had the beneficial effect of strengthening the Filipinos' cultural identity when it was being besieged by the new Americanized culture. The centuries-old traditional theater, which constituted a big part of Filipino culture from 1900 to the 1960s, was thereby saved, quote-unquote, by another and more popular medium. And through that medium was transferred to another generation of Filipinos who were already being rapidly Americanized by an Anglo-American education, and especially by Hollywood. Without film and comics, perhaps, these traditions might have died from atrophy, and the next generation of Filipino youths would not have had an inkling of what they were in the past, and of the past that they might go back to if they should decide to search for their identity as Filipinos. Which is not to say that the worldview and values embodied and propagated by these old theater forms were all progressive or even pro-Filipino or pro-people. From the commedia came a prejudice against Islam and a bias for the white European and for autocratic rulers. From the cenacolo came the emphasis on blind obedience to powers that be and an acceptance of suffering as a good in itself. From the zarzuela and drama came the belief that all problems must be resolved in favor of the establishment laws and morality, no matter how oppressive these may ultimately be of the people. From vaudeville came an obsession with American pop culture and the American dream. Moreover, these traditional theater forms were allowed to flourish from 1900 to 1946 because they provided entertainment that did not go against the existing order. Early on, the drama Simbolico, which opposed the ugly reality of the American invasion of the islands and exhorted Filipinos to reclaim by force of arms the independence that America had stolen from us, were brutally suppressed by the Americans and their local collaborators. Instead, the new rulers encouraged the presentation of the comedia, sinaculos, zarzuela, and drama that merely and safely depicted local customs and inconsequential domestic problems that would not threaten the colonial regime and its Filipino landlord and capitalist collaborators. And to make sure that films and to make sure that films toed the official line, a censors board, initially with American members, was established as early as 1929 and continued operating even after the American period and to our own time. It was the task of such boards to censor movies that came too close to exposing or opposing political and social realities, or even to just a realistic depiction of the baser instincts, quote unquote, all of which are considered a threat to public order. And so it is that by perpetuating many of the establishment beliefs and values of the traditional theater, Philippine films avoided touching on the true conditions of the Filipino people who actually patronized them. Ironically, therefore, even after the talkies came, the genre films, like their theater counterparts, remained silent because they were forcibly silenced by the guardians of the regnant classes. It would take another generation of filmmakers, that of Lino Broca and Ishmael Bernal, reared in a more realistic and radical theater tradition also, to open up Philippine cinema and allow the people's voices to be heard. Maraming salamat.